Welcome to ZANE Radio, audio and video updates from ZANE's friends and partners on the ground in Zimbabwe. My name is John Haynes. In this episode, Samantha tells us the heartrending story of Doreen, who was a senior aircraftwoman in the RAF. ZANE and Samantha's organisation work in partnership to distribute grants for UK services charities, including RCEL RAF grants. Firstly, I asked, what are the biggest challenges facing ZANE beneficiaries today?
Shortage of money to sustain their lives, particularly those in private homes. Even though they receive a small amount of US dollars from us, this is becoming increasingly insufficient to buy the necessary goods. Prices of everything here have increased dramatically, matching the terrifying movement of the black market rate, with shops increasing prices of local goods, not just imported goods. People's lives are desperate through absolutely no fault of their own.
Thank you. Please could you give an example of someone ZANE is helping?
Doreen, age 74, has been receiving RCEL RAF grants from our organisation, which is in partnership with ZANE, since 2010, which is how I have come to know her and her son George, age 47. Born in the UK, she served in the RAF as a senior aircraftswoman for 2 years until she resigned as she was pregnant. She left the UK when George was a child because his father, her husband, would not accept him because of his mental illness and odd behaviour. She emigrated to Zimbabwe because she wanted to establish a new life for herself and George, and she resides here to this day. She has never received any help from her ex-husband and has struggled enormously to survive against huge odds in Zimbabwe. Doreen could only find a low-paid job at a church. George visited her there each day and was tolerated by other church members, despite his strange behaviour. She bought a very small flat in a bedraggled part of town on a noisy, dusty main road. Doreen has no transport, so I have always delivered money to her, and in the past I would come into her flat, with George always present. He is a severely ill schizophrenic, has never worked, and is becoming increasingly difficult and paranoid. He refuses to take any medications and has made dangerously threatening remarks to me and 3 times been physically violent towards Doreen. I now interview her in my car on the road outside her flat to keep safe. A few years ago she was retrenched from her job and since then has relied almost entirely on the RCEL RAF grant for survival, plus many ways in which our organisation could help her.
And in what ways is she being helped?
She receives a food parcel from a local charity and claims she is coping well, which I doubt. Without help from our organisation, she would face enormous difficulty. Her uncomplaining, optimistic attitude belies her obvious poverty and desperation, so we help her in any way we can. I ensure I talk with her in my car for as long as she needs, and it has taken a long time for her to trust me and open up. She copes by cutting back on bare essentials such as electricity, hot water, water itself, and many basic food items, etc. She never leaves the flat except for basic shopping and church once a week. George has not left the flat for at least 2 years and sulks aggressively whenever Doreen goes out, destroying her books and other items. He is dishevelled, filthy, and hugely overweight, having slipped into the typical schizophrenic prototype. Paranoid, non-verbal, institutionalized behavior, as you might find in a chronic psychiatric ward. With correct management and medication, his life and Doreen's need not have been like this. We do not have adequate facilities here to cope with problems like this, despite all the efforts and good intentions in Zimbabwe. Doreen dare not chastise him about anything in case he becomes violent, and she is humiliated and embarrassed discussing these difficulties with me, but is obviously comforted after telling me about it.
What do you think the future is for Doreen?
Doreen is enormously proud and sees herself as an intelligent woman who can handle anything. Sadly, in many ways, I believe she is part of the problem. It has been admirable that she tries to be so self-sufficient. However, she could have had a happier, more enriched life which would have suited her intelligent brain. Our organisation has tried to initiate so many ways in which to resolve this situation, most to no avail for many reasons. I don't see much hope for George and have to be content knowing we have helped as much as we possibly can and are actually Doreen's only outlet to express her frustration, anxiety and loneliness, and very importantly, to help her financially. She many times says, "Thank you so much for all your help and support. I would not have coped without you."
What would happen to our beneficiaries without ZANE?
Doreen and most of our beneficiaries would be unable to cope. We have no functioning government welfare system, and any pensions are abysmally small.
Please could you give some examples of requests that you have received recently?
People pleading with us for financial help for food, medications, doctor visits, and other medical treatments, rentals, homes fees, water, fuel, etc.
And finally, what is your message to ZANE's loyal supporters in the UK?
Without your support and generosity, we could not continue to help needy, desperate people here, such as Doreen. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to ZANE Radio. Please donate to ZANE at www.zane.uk.com. Music was by Kevin MacLeod at www.incompetech.filmmusic.io.